What if I told you that everything you've been told about muscle health after 60 is only half the truth? Most people believe that eating eggs is the gold standard for building muscle. And while eggs are excellent, what if I told you there are other foods, simple, affordable, and overlooked, that can build and protect your muscles even into your 70s and beyond? Foods that cost less than a carton of eggs, foods that don't require complicated recipes, and yet when eaten consistently, can literally help you walk taller, climb stairs with ease, and maintain the independence you deserve as you age. Muscle is life. It is the engine that powers every single move you make, every step, every breath. Even the beating of your heart relies on muscle. And yet, after the age of 60, sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss, quietly creeps in. You may notice your legs feeling weaker, your grip not as firm, your energy not as steady. It is not your imagination, and it is not just getting older, it is muscle loss. The tragedy is that too many people accept it as inevitable. But the truth is, it is not. You can stop it. You can even reverse it. And you don't need expensive supplements or fancy powders. What you need are 7 everyday foods, foods hiding in plain sight, that science shows can preserve and even rebuild muscle at any age, even at 70, even at 80. And the most exciting part? These foods don't just feed your muscles, they protect your heart, they improve your circulation, they balance your blood sugar, they even sharpen your brain. Because muscle is not an isolated tissue, it is connected to every system in your body. When you feed muscle, you feed life itself. So, today I want to take you on a journey away from old myths, away from the idea that only eggs and meat matter for muscle, and into a new understanding of how common, affordable foods can be your greatest ally in the fight against weakness, frailty, and dependence. I want you to see that even if you are 70, 75, or even 80 years old, your body is still waiting for you to give it the right fuel. And when you do, the results can be nothing short of remarkable. Imagine this. You wake up in the morning, not sluggish, not stiff, but with energy in your legs. You bend down to tie your shoes, and it feels effortless. You walk to the kitchen, pour yourself a glass of water, and you feel steady, balanced, confident. That is not a fantasy. That is what happens when you feed your muscles what they crave. And it begins with 7 foods, 7 cheap, powerful foods that can do more than eggs alone ever could. The first food might surprise you. It's not a protein powder, it's not steak, it's not fish. It's something so humble most people walk right past it in the grocery store. I'm talking about lentils. Lentils are one of the oldest foods known to humankind. Archaeologists have discovered lentil seeds buried in the ruins of ancient civilizations, dating back more than 8,000 years. Why were they valued so highly? Because they are packed with protein, fiber, minerals, and compounds that keep the body strong. Now you might be thinking, protein from lentils. Can beans really compete with eggs? The answer is yes. 1 cup of cooked lentils delivers about 18 grams of protein. That's the same as eating nearly 3 eggs. But here's where lentils shine. Unlike eggs, they come bundled with fiber that stabilizes your blood sugar, iron that keeps your blood oxygen flowing, and compounds called polyphenols that reduce inflammation. And inflammation is the enemy of aging muscles. In fact, studies published in leading medical journals have shown that seniors who consume plant-based proteins like lentils maintain stronger leg muscles and greater mobility than those who rely only on animal proteins. Why? Because plant proteins also feed the gut microbiome, the trillions of bacteria in your gut that release short-chain fatty acids. These fatty acids actually signal your muscle stem cells to repair and regenerate. It's like sending construction workers to a broken bridge. They don't just stop the damage, they rebuild. Now I want you to picture this. A 72-year-old gentleman named James came to see me years ago. He had been an active man his whole life, but suddenly his legs felt weak. He struggled to stand from a chair. He said, "Doctor, I feel like my strength is slipping away every month." Instead of prescribing him another pill, we worked on his diet. We added lentils to his weekly meals. Lentil soup, lentil salad, even simple lentils with rice. Within 3 months, he came back, beaming. "I don't know what's happening," he told me, "but I can climb the stairs without pulling myself up on the railing." That wasn't magic. That was food as medicine. That was lentils feeding his muscle stem cells, and here's the best part. Lentils are cheap. You can buy a pound of lentils for less than the cost of a single carton of eggs, and that pound will give you multiple meals worth of protein. They don't spoil quickly. They don't need refrigeration. All you need is some water and a little seasoning, and you have one of the most powerful muscle-protecting meals on the planet. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. When you pair lentils with rice, a simple combination eaten in cultures all around the world, you create a complete protein. That means your body gets all 9 essential amino acids, the exact building blocks your muscles need. Think about that. A bowl of lentils and rice can rival and in many ways surpass what an egg can give you. Now, before we move to the second food, let me share something important. Many seniors worry about digestion. They say beans make me bloated or I can't handle too much fiber. The key is to start small. A few spoonfuls. Give your gut time to adjust. As your microbiome strengthens, your tolerance improves. And then, suddenly, you discover not only are you stronger, but your digestion, your energy, and even your mood improve. That is the power of this first humble food. And yet lentils are just the beginning, because the second food I want to reveal to you is even more remarkable. It is a food that most people consider a snack, but it has the power of a supplement, a food that delivers protein, healthy fats, and minerals in a tiny package you can carry in your pocket. The second food may already be sitting in your pantry, yet most people underestimate its power. I'm talking about peanuts. Yes, the humble peanut. For years, peanuts have been dismissed as a cheap snack, something you grab at a ball game or in a packet on an airplane. But science is now showing us that peanuts deserve a place right alongside the most celebrated superfoods when it comes to protecting muscle and extending independence into older age. Let's look at the facts. Just a small handful of peanuts contains about 7 grams of protein, nearly the same as an egg. But peanuts don't just stop at protein. They're rich in arginine, an amino acid that boosts nitric oxide in your blood vessels. What does nitric oxide do? It relaxes and widens your arteries, improving circulation. And when your circulation improves, your muscles get more oxygen and more nutrients. That means better endurance, faster recovery, and stronger performance, even if you're in your 70s. Now, here's where it gets exciting. Researchers at Purdue University studied older adults who ate peanuts regularly. They found not only did these individuals maintain lean muscle mass more effectively, but they also had lower blood pressure and improved cholesterol. In other words, the peanut was not just feeding their muscles, it was protecting their heart, the very engine that powers those muscles. Let me share a story. Margaret, a 68-year-old grandmother, came to one of my community talks. She was worried because she could no longer keep up with her grandchildren at the park. She said her legs felt heavy, and she needed to sit down after only 10 minutes of walking. We made one simple change. Instead of cookies at night, she started snacking on a small handful of peanuts before bed. 6 weeks later, she emailed me. "Doctor," she wrote, "I don't know if it's the peanuts or something else, but I just took my grandkids to the zoo and walked the entire day without sitting down once." That's not coincidence, that's science at work in her muscles, her blood vessels, and her energy systems. And peanuts have another advantage: cost. A pound of peanuts costs less than a single steak, yet delivers comparable muscle-building power. Even better, they don't require refrigeration, they're easy to store, and they fit perfectly into any lifestyle. But there's something else. Peanuts contain resveratrol, the same compound found in red wine, known for its anti-aging properties. Resveratrol helps reduce inflammation inside the blood vessels, lowers oxidative stress, and supports the mitochondria, the tiny power plants inside your muscle cells. Imagine that. A peanut, small enough to fit in the palm of your hand, can actually supercharge the engines inside your muscles, helping you generate energy more efficiently. So the next time someone tells you that you need expensive supplements to stay strong, remember the peanut. Affordable, accessible, and powerful. Now we've talked about lentils and peanuts, 2 foods that prove muscle strength doesn't have to come from the foods you've always been told were essential. And yet there's a third food that may surprise you even more. It's a food that was once considered poor man's meat, but today nutrition scientists are calling it one of the most complete muscle-building foods on Earth. The third food is one that has been part of traditional diets for centuries, but many people today overlook it because it seems too simple. I'm talking about chickpeas. Also known as garbanzo beans, chickpeas are one of the most underrated muscle-preserving foods in the world. Why? Because chickpeas are packed with high-quality plant protein, about 15 grams per cup. That's the protein equivalent of 2.5 eggs. But unlike eggs, chickpeas also deliver magnesium, potassium, and folate, nutrients that keep your nerves firing, your muscles contracting, and your bones strong. But here's the secret that makes chickpeas so powerful for seniors. They contain a unique combination of protein and resistant starch. Resistant starch is a type of carbohydrate that doesn't spike your blood sugar, but instead feeds the good bacteria in your gut. Those bacteria, in turn, produce compounds that reduce inflammation, improve nutrient absorption, and even signal your body to protect lean muscle. In other words, when you eat chickpeas, you are not just feeding yourself, you are feeding trillions of tiny allies inside you who are working day and night to keep your muscles strong. I remember one of my patients, a retired teacher named Ellen, who was 74 years old when I met her. She loved to cook, but she felt her strength slipping away. She told me, "Doctor, I'm terrified of falling. My legs don't feel like they used to." We added chickpeas into her weekly meals, simple dishes like hummus with vegetables, roasted chickpeas as a crunchy snack, and chickpea curry with rice. Within 3 months, she called me with excitement. I just walked 2 miles with my sister without stopping, and I didn't feel shaky once. Chickpeas had given her back her confidence. Now let's talk about cost. A can of chickpeas costs less than $1. Dried chickpeas are even cheaper. Compare that to a dozen eggs or a piece of salmon. Chickpeas stretch farther, last longer, and offer as much, if not more, muscle-nourishing benefit. For seniors on a fixed income, this is critical. It means you don't have to choose between health and affordability. But chickpeas have another benefit. They help control appetite. When you're older, appetite often declines, which means people don't eat enough to support muscle. Chickpeas provide satiety. They keep you feeling satisfied without overeating, while still giving your muscles what they need. This balance is essential, especially for preventing sarcopenia, the silent muscle loss that accelerates after age 60. And let me share a little-known fact. Chickpeas contain compounds called saponins, which act as natural antioxidants. They help protect your muscle cells from oxidative damage, the same kind of damage that accelerates aging. So when you eat chickpeas, you are not only fueling your muscles, you are shielding them from the slow burn of time itself. Now think about this for a moment. Lentils, peanuts, chickpeas. 3 foods, all inexpensive, all accessible, all capable of building muscle even at 70 or beyond. None of them require fancy cooking. None of them demand high cost. And yet, they rival the benefits of eggs and in some ways surpass them. But we're not done yet, because the 4th food I want to share with you may surprise you even more. It's not a legume, it's not a nut, it's a grain, but not the kind of grain you've been warned to avoid. In fact, it's a grain that has been shown in clinical studies to keep seniors stronger, more balanced and more mobile well into their later years. The 4th food is one you may already have in your kitchen, but you probably never realized it could rival eggs for muscle health. I'm talking about quinoa. Now, quinoa is often called a super grain, but the truth is, it isn't even a grain at all. It's a seed. And unlike most grains, quinoa is a complete protein. That means it contains all 9 essential amino acids, the exact building blocks your muscles require to repair and grow. For seniors, this is extraordinary, because complete proteins are rare in the plant kingdom. A single cup of cooked quinoa gives you about 8 grams of protein, nearly the same as an egg. But here's what makes it remarkable. It also contains magnesium, which relaxes blood vessels and improves circulation, iron, which delivers oxygen to your muscle fibers, and manganese, a mineral that helps your body use protein more efficiently. It's as if quinoa isn't just providing the bricks to build muscle. It is also supplying the tools to put those bricks together. I once worked with a 70-year-old woman named Teresa. She was struggling with her balance and told me she had begun avoiding social events out of fear she might fall. We added quinoa to her weekly diet, replacing white rice with it a few times a week. Within 2 months, she reported that her energy had improved, her digestion was smoother, and most importantly, her legs felt stronger. She said, "Doctor, I danced at my granddaughter's birthday party for the first time in years." That's the transformation that happens when food becomes medicine. But quinoa offers something even more. It helps regulate blood sugar. Many seniors battle insulin resistance, which weakens muscles over time. Quinoa's unique combination of protein, fiber, and slow-digesting carbs keeps blood sugar steady, preventing the roller coaster that damages both energy and strength. And here's something else. Quinoa contains flavonoids, powerful antioxidants that calm inflammation in the muscles and joints. Chronic inflammation is one of the hidden forces behind age-related weakness, making every movement feel heavier than it should. By calming that inflammation, quinoa helps restore freedom of movement. Now let's talk about practicality. Quinoa is shelf-stable, cooks in about 15 minutes, and can be used in countless ways. Breakfast porridge with fruit, salads, soups, even in place of pasta. It's versatile, affordable, and accessible in almost every grocery store. For less than the cost of a coffee, you can prepare a meal that nourishes your muscles for hours. So think of this. Quinoa isn't just food, it's a shield. A shield against weakness, against fatigue, against the decline too many people accept as just getting old. And yet the story doesn't stop here, because the fifth food I want to share with you doesn't come from a seed, a nut, or a bean. It comes from the sea, and it carries a nutrient so powerful for muscles that without it, strength withers faster than you realize. The fifth food comes from the ocean, and it carries a nutrient that many people don't realize is critical for preserving muscle as we age. I'm talking about sardines. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Sardines? Aren't they too fishy, too small, too old-fashioned? But let me tell you, sardines are one of the most powerful, affordable, and underrated muscle-building foods on the planet. Why? Because sardines deliver complete, high-quality protein, 23 grams in just one small can. That's more than 4 eggs worth of muscle fuel. But sardines don't stop there. They're loaded with omega-3 fatty acids, healthy fats that reduce inflammation, improve circulation, and even stimulate muscle protein synthesis. In fact, studies published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition show that seniors who consume omega-3s from fish maintain more muscle mass and strength than those who done tea, even if they aren't a tea exercising. Think about that. Sardines can help your body rebuild muscle, even at rest. But sardines have another gift, vitamin D. Many seniors are deficient in vitamin D, and without it, muscles weaken, bones thin, and falls become more likely. Just one can of sardines provides more than half your daily requirement of vitamin D. That means stronger muscles, stronger bones, and better balance, all in one affordable package. I remember a patient named Harold, 76 years old, who told me he felt like his legs were betraying him. He had always been active, but lately he couldn't make it across the grocery store without sitting down. We added sardines to his diet, just twice a week, mashed on whole grain toast with a squeeze of lemon. Within 2 months, Harold was walking half a mile daily with no breaks. He told me, "I never thought I'd eat sardines at my age, but I feel like they're putting fuel back in my tank." Now, here's the surprising part. Sardines are also rich in calcium and phosphorus, minerals your body uses not only to strengthen bones, but also to contract muscles. Every time you stand, climb stairs, or take a walk, those minerals are firing inside your muscle fibers, giving you the strength to move. And let's not forget cost. A single can of sardines is often less than $1. That's cheaper than eggs, cheaper than chicken, and yet it delivers protein, vitamin D, omega-3s, and calcium all at once. For seniors living on a fixed budget, this is nothing short of a miracle food. So the next time you walk past sardines on the shelf, don't think of them as poor man's food. Think of them as longevity food, muscle-preserving, heart-protecting, bone-strengthening fuel that can keep you strong even at 70, 75, or 80. And yet, as powerful as sardines are, the sixth food on our list may be even more exciting, because it comes from something so simple, so common, and so inexpensive that many people take it for granted. but it contains a nutrient that flips the switch on muscle growth in ways even eggs cannot. The sixth food is so simple, so familiar, that most people don't even think of it as muscle food. But inside this humble food lies a nutrient that directly switches on muscle growth, even in seniors who thought their strength was gone for good. I'm talking about milk. For generations, milk has been known as a growth food for children. But here's the truth. It is also one of the most effective muscle-preserving foods for older adults. Why? Because milk is rich in leucine, an amino acid that acts like a key. When leucine enters your body, it literally turns on the engine that tells your muscles, grow, repair, rebuild. Without enough leucine, your muscles can't respond properly to protein no matter how much you eat. With leucine, every gram of protein becomes more powerful. Now here's the remarkable part. A single glass of milk contains about 8 grams of protein, similar to an egg. But because of the leucine, the quality of that protein hits your muscles like rocket fuel. In fact, clinical studies have shown that older adults who drink milk after light exercise gain significantly more muscle than those who consume other proteins. That means milk is not just a drink, it's a muscle medicine. But milk has another gift, calcium. Calcium isn't just for bones. Every time your muscles contract when you lift a cup, stand from a chair, or take a step, calcium floods into the muscle fibers, creating the spark that makes movement possible. Without calcium, muscles simply can't fire. By drinking milk, you're not only feeding the structure of your muscles, but also fueling the very signals that allow them to move. I'll never forget an 80-year-old patient named Clara. She had given up on walking long distances because her legs felt so weak. She told me, "Doctor, I just feel drained all the time." We added just 1 glass of milk to her evening routine, paired with a light snack. After 6 weeks, she returned with a smile. "I don't know what's happening," she said, "but I can walk to church again without stopping. My legs don't feel like lead anymore." It wasn't magic. It was leucine, calcium, and protein working together to revive her strength. Now, some seniors worry about lactose intolerance, but here's the good news. Lactose-free milk, yogurt, or even kefir provide the same benefits. And for those who prefer plant-based options, fortified soy milk is the closest in protein and leucine to dairy milk. And here's the best part. Milk is cheap. A gallon costs less than a steak dinner, yet provides days' worth of muscle fuel. That means, even if you're on a budget, you can still give your body what it needs to stay strong, steady, and independent. Think about that. Milk, something so simple, can help prevent falls, fractures, and frailty. And when you combine it with the other foods we've already discussed, you're creating a foundation for strength that lasts decades. But now we arrive at the 7th food. This last one might surprise you most of all. It's not from the land, it's not from the sea. It's something that has been eaten for centuries in certain parts of the world, and today, scientists are finally recognizing it as a powerhouse for senior muscle health. The 7th and final food might seem unusual at first, but it has been a staple in traditional diets for centuries. Today, modern science confirms what our ancestors already knew, that this food is one of the most nutrient-dense, muscle-protecting foods you can eat. I'm talking about tofu. Tofu is made from soybeans, and it is one of the richest sources of plant protein on Earth. A single serving of tofu, about half a cup, delivers 10 grams of complete protein with all 9 essential amino acids. That's nearly the same protein as 2 eggs. But here's where tofu goes beyond. It contains isoflavones, natural compounds that act as antioxidants inside your muscles, reducing the inflammation and oxidative stress that accelerate muscle loss. Now, let's talk about something important. As we age, our hormones shift. Testosterone and estrogen decline. Growth factors decline. And with that, muscle begins to waste away. What makes tofu special is that the isoflavones gently support your hormonal balance, easing the decline and protecting not just muscles, but also bones, heart health, and even brain function. That's why studies in seniors who consume tofu regularly show stronger grip strength, better walking speed, and greater independence compared to those who don't. But tofu has another hidden benefit. It is one of the best natural sources of calcium and iron, 2 minerals essential for muscle contraction and oxygen delivery. Every time you move, Your muscles depend on those two minerals. Without them, fatigue sets in, strength declines, and energy disappears. Tofu puts those minerals back into your system, like fuel into an engine. I remember visiting a community center in Singapore years ago, where many seniors were well into their 70s and 80s. They were serving tofu stir-fry, tofu soup, even tofu pudding. I asked one of the women, 82 years old, what her secret was to walking without a cane. She smiled and said, "Doctor, I eat tofu every day. My grandmother told me it keeps the legs strong." And science now confirms her wisdom. And let's not forget affordability. Tofu is one of the cheapest proteins you can buy. For the cost of a single carton of eggs, you can buy a block of tofu that provides multiple meals. It's versatile, it absorbs flavor beautifully, and it can be eaten in countless ways, grilled, stir-fried, scrambled, or blended into smoothies. So here we are. 7 foods: lentils, peanuts, chickpeas, quinoa, sardines, milk, and tofu. 7 affordable, accessible, and powerful foods that can build muscle even at 70, even at 80. Foods that don't just protect your muscles, but your heart, your bones, your circulation, and your independence. Foods that prove you don't need expensive supplements or exotic powders. You just need the right fuel, the right knowledge, and the courage to make small, consistent changes. Now, the real question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Think about it for a moment. Every one of these 7 foods, lentils, peanuts, chickpeas, quinoa, sardines, milk, and tofu, has been quietly waiting for you. They are not rare. They are not expensive. They are not hidden behind the glass counters of luxury stores. They are right there on the shelves of your local market, and yet inside them lies the power to change the trajectory of your life after 60. Because here is the truth. Muscle loss is not a punishment of age. It is not inevitable. Yes, sarcopenia begins to creep in after the age of 40, but what happens after 60 is not written in stone. What happens is shaped by the choices you make today, tomorrow, and the next day. And those choices begin at the breakfast table, at lunch, at dinner, and even in the snacks you keep in your kitchen. Imagine waking up in the morning and not struggling to get out of bed. Imagine bending down to tie your shoes without feeling your knees creak. Imagine walking up the stairs without gasping for air or grabbing the railing for dear life. Imagine walking into the park with your grandchildren, not as someone they need to help, but as someone who can run, laugh, and play with them. That is what muscle gives you. It gives you freedom, it gives you independence, it gives you dignity. And that freedom is not reserved for athletes or the young. It belongs to you. Yes, even at 70, even at 80, I've seen men and women in their 70s rebuild their strength by simply making these foods a part of their daily routine. I've seen women in their 80s reverse weakness and walk without fear again. And I've seen patients in their 90s who never touched a supplement, never touched a protein shake, but lived strong because they honored the foods nature provided. Let me be very clear. Your body is waiting for you to feed it what it needs. Muscles don't disappear because you are old. They disappear because they are starving for protein, starving for amino acids, starving for minerals, starving for the nourishment that these 7 foods provide. Tomorrow morning, when you stand in front of your kitchen, you have a choice. You can reach for the same refined foods, the same empty calories that silently strip away your strength. Or you can reach for one of these foods and begin to build again. That choice is not small, it is life-changing. If you are over 60, you are not too late. You are right on time. Because today is the youngest you will ever be again, and the decision you make today will decide the strength you carry tomorrow. So I urge you, don't just listen to these words. Act on them. Go buy lentils, peanuts, chickpeas, quinoa, sardines, milk, or tofu. Start small. Replace one meal. Swap out one snack. And then do it again the next day. Within weeks, you will notice the difference. Your energy will rise. Your balance will improve. Your muscles will feel fuller. Your confidence will return. And within months, you will look in the mirror and see not just the reflection of someone older, but the reflection of someone stronger, someone alive, someone who refused to let age steal their strength. And when that day comes, you'll realize something profound. You are not powerless. You never were. The key to your health, your mobility, your independence, it was always in your hands, and all it took was the courage to make a better choice. So don't wait for another year, another month, or another Monday. Start tomorrow morning, because your muscles, your heart, your bones, your entire future, you deserve to protect them, and you can.